we should get started, not as an aside. Welcome to this week's edition of the Yamhill Leadership Roundtable. And I'm going to remember to do introductions this time. So we've got Takesha Wydrow from the Sheridan Chamber of Commerce. We've got Casey Kula, Yamhill County Commissioner. We have Jody Christensen, Regional Solutions Coordinator for the Governor. We have Director Lindsay Manfred of Health and Human Services at Yamhill County. Hello. We have Howie Harkema from Encompass Yamhill and many other organizations. We have Mayor Linda Watkins from the City of Carlton. Hello again. We have Celia Nunez from Chemeketa Community College. Welcome, Celia. And we have Council President Remy Drapkin from the City of McMinnville. Thank you all for joining us today. And we have special guest Jody Christensen and Director Manfred. They're both under a time crunch, but I'm going to go with Jody Christensen first to give us the overview of what the governor said and from the governor's perspective about reopening stuff. And then I'm going to ask Director Manfred to kind of add the details of vaccine logistics and timing and rates in Yamhill County because she runs that. So with that, thank you, Jody, for joining us.
Thank you, Commissioner, and I'm delighted that the director's here with us to unpack some of the detail. This is hot off the press. At 1:30, the governor had a press conference announcing the strategy moving forward to reopen Oregon. And so the numbers game here is that ultimately we want to get to 70%, and that means that 70% of those that are eligible for the vaccine, and we are looking at that number is 16 plus. We're not yet including the conversation around the 12 to 15-year-olds, so this is 16 plus. If we can get to 70%, and that means partially vaccinated, so at least one vaccine, that would then trigger a majority of the restrictions would be lifted. That's the comfort level. But there's a new opportunity for counties to move from in the risk metrics to move all the way down to the lowest risk level if the county can achieve a 65% vaccination rate with those that are eligible, and that again is 16 and over. And that also includes an equity plan that would be developed by the county to show that those community members that are have been disproportionately affected by COVID. So what is the outreach strategy to reach those vulnerable communities, community members? So it's that 65% plus that equity plan. And the director may have more information on that. That is, I don't have a lot of detail yet on what that looks like. So I don't want to go into the numbers for the county. I think that's really the director's place. But I think one of the things that I wanted to just share with the community members, particularly the elected officials, chamber representatives, is that my role as a regional solutions coordinator is to really work with communities to build capacity. And so as the governor mentioned during the press conference today, is that regional solutions can be a resource. So I'll give you an example. For the last several months, at the request of Commissioner Cameron in Marion County, he asked me to help convene a weekly, and now it's a bi-weekly, BIPOC leader meeting with their health department so that they could begin more robust and engaged conversations and really working with the leaders of a variety of community-based organizations. And that has been a really powerful place where the commissioner can seek counsel, get advice, and also to hear where the concerns are. So that is a role that we can play on many different fronts. But for this particular part of our response to COVID is that I can help convene those meetings on your behalf. I'm happy to do that. I have a good network of, I think, a robust network, I will say, of community members in this region. I also work very closely with the Oregon Health Authority and Oregon Emergency Management, which we are considered still in a response phase, and so that would be appropriate. So I'm happy to be a resource as the county starts to develop its strategy in moving forward. And so one of the questions that came up today during the press conference is one that I hear often, and that is, okay, so we're going to have restrictions lifted. When will masks not be required? And that's really important that we answer that with the correct statement. So masks will likely be with us beyond the lifting of restrictions because we will still have COVID in our community and not everyone will be vaccinated. So it is a way to protect our community members. And I don't know about the rest of you, but even though I've been isolated, I have been out. I haven't had a cold for 18 some months. So I don't know about all of you, but it gives me some comfort that I feel healthier. But I would say that we're going to follow CDC guidance on mask wearing. So we don't yet have an answer to that. But I think when we talk about all the restrictions that will be lifted, certainly when you go to low and then as we start to open up even more, a mask seems very small in comparison to all of the other things that we'll be able to do and enjoy again over the next several months. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and I delighted that you're giving me some grace in not having all the answers right now. This is just really good news, I think.
Yeah, thank you, Jody. I guess I would ask the first question, which is, so not masks here to stay. I'm guessing distancing here to stay. So what does majority of restrictions lifted then look like? Is it the risk category stuff where it's 50% indoor dining, that kind of world?
So yes. So I can't guarantee you that all capacities will be, capacity limits will be lifted. I think very large crowds, there may be some discussion in that, but it would be lifting of the limits indoors and certainly outdoors for entertainment venues, those kinds of things. But I do agree with you, Commissioner. I think just thinking about mask wearing and distancing and certainly hand washing, I think that those are things that we can expect to continue.
All right, great, thank you. Are there other questions for Jody? All right, thank you, Jody, for giving us the setting us up, I think is what you call it. And Director Manfred, now, I would love to hear from you, obviously about virus dynamics in the county and transmission, but how the governor's announcement fits in with our own county, your work and our work as elected officials, as members of the county.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm happy to speak to that. I think, the number y'all might be wondering about right now is how close are we to that 65% or that 70%, right? Our latest data shows that we're currently at 51.6% of individuals eligible for vaccine. So again, as Jody shared, those who are 16 and over have been vaccinated with at least one vaccine. So that's where we're at, a little over 50%. That number, the overall number of that population for us is a little over 80,000 people in Yamhill County. So definitely we are on the higher end when you look overall at the totality of counties within Oregon of where various counties sit, but we're still a ways away from getting that benchmark of that percentage needed to move us down to the high risk despite any sort of cases that we have. Speaking of cases, I will say we are beginning to see a slow but nonetheless decreased in some cases of COVID-19 over the course of this last week, which is reassuring and great. And we're certainly hoping that we continue to see that continue to decline as we're seeing statewide as well, which is again reassuring. Couple of things that I will mention is, I don't have much more information than what was shared in the press conference, although I do know that I am anticipating getting more information this evening, as well as tomorrow morning, along with my other public health administrators throughout the state, around the various components of this. One of them being the equity plan that Jody mentioned. The good news is Yamhill County has an equity plan. We developed an equity plan long ago and have been working very hard with our community partners to ensure equitable access to the vaccine throughout our county, and looking at specific populations, particularly those populations that we know were more impacted by COVID illness, and looking at different regions and geographic areas that we know were hardest hit with COVID illness as well. So we've been really focused in on those particular geographic areas and populations, and again, working really closely with our community partners to have them guide us, provide information, give us ideas, and really, in many ways, them actually executing so much of the work themselves. They've been tremendous partners. So, what that has looked like over the course of the last several weeks has been a number of vaccine events in specific regions. We've done a number of events in Dayton, where we have the highest percentage of COVID cases when you look at it as in a rate basis. We've been working to go to various agricultural facilities, different places that migrant farm worker facilities, and housing units, places like that. So we've been doing a lot of that outreach, in addition to working with our houseless population and organizations like YCAP, who have been working to assure, again, that there's known vaccine access, that people know where to get it. Of course, what we've seen over the course of the last really 2 weeks is a pretty abrupt change in how people are accessing vaccine. Up until about 2 weeks ago, any of our mass vax clinics, which we've been operating 2 per week for months now, have been filling up, and they would fill up moments after the links would be shared. And then we saw that dramatically decrease about 2 weeks ago. And this week, we actually didn't fill all of the mass vax clinics. But what we have been doing, in addition to continuing those events, is really increasing our mobile capacity and increasing the pop-up events. So those have looked a number of ways. We continue to outreach to any employer that is interested, and we will come on site and vaccinate employees on site at vaccine events. And that often we can say we will open it up to not only the employees, but the employees' family members who may be eligible and able to get the vaccine. And then we've been doing a bunch of what we call pop-up clinics, where we're just going places that community members tell us are good places to go. And I would say a great example of that is the Newburgh Library, where over 300 people were vaccinated last week. The Newburgh folks said, this is where you got to go. And we're so glad we listened, because it was a great place to go and it had a great success. And so we're really just trying to listen to the folks that are telling us these are good places. This is where there's lots of foot traffic. This is where there's access issues. This is where we're seeing these things, and really listening and mobilizing and working with our partners. Sometimes it's a public health staff and volunteers that are doing those clinics, and other times it's organizations like Providence, who we coordinate with and have teams that send out and go on site. Next week alone, we have 15 different opportunities and places for people to get vaccinated throughout the county. That's from places in Sheridan and Dayton and Newburgh and McMinnville, throughout the county. So 15 opportunities, and that's not including places like healthcare providers, primary care providers, and pharmacies. So those are all in addition to those things. The other thing that we're really working hard to do is have, in addition to these different places popping up, have some regular and recurring places where people can just know and count on knowing that every week at this date, on these days and this time, I can show up here and there'll be vaccine available. So we're doing that through our public health clinic on Mondays, and vaccine clinic into the evenings as well as every Saturday, because we're also wanting to make sure that we've got evening access and weekend access for individuals too. So we're working on that. Being at farmers markets every week, having a booth there. This week is the first week we'll be at the McMinnville Farmers Market, and I believe the Newburgh one as well. So we're really just doing all that we can to try to get vaccine to people in the most convenient way possible, which is often just where they're at. That's been our strategy. We will continue to reallocate resource from those large vaccine events to more and more of these events in hopes of really capturing the population of people who want the vaccine, who are interested in the vaccine, but really, maybe aren't going to go out of their way to get it, and that's okay. We're going to do what we can to bring it to you. And then, we're working closely with our healthcare providers, because we know there's another entire group of folks that are just unsure, and they have questions, and they deserve good answers to those questions about whatever might be causing them to delay or pause. And so we're working really closely with our healthcare providers, because we know that those are the trusted individuals, and those are the best people to be having the conversations with individuals that have lots of questions about, is this vaccine right for me? Is it right for my child? Is it right for my loved ones? And so we've got those close connections built with them. And with the Pfizer vaccine being approved through the FDA for an emergency use authorization, and sort of anticipating that it will go through the CDC and then the Western states review process and be approved, which still has yet to happen. So we're not quite there yet, but we anticipate that happening this week. And when it does, we are working again with our healthcare providers to assure that Pfizer vaccine, which has limitations in terms of its ability to be stored in a way that's convenient or in a way that most clinics can do, we're working with all of them so that we can be the hub for that vaccine. So those will maintain a supply of that vaccine and make sure that we can get that vaccine in smaller quantities to those clinics so that they have it on hand and can vaccinate people of all those age ranges, whoever's eligible. So we've got that in place, and we're feeling confident and good about that sort of hub and spoke model, if you will, and our ability to be able to navigate through all of that with our healthcare providers. So I'll pause and just see if there are questions.
There was some good information. I keep writing down questions and then you answer them. And this is actually what happens with Director Manfred and me, apparently. So I was going to ask about whether you have the ability, or whether your epidemiologist on staff has the ability to look at the rate of new doses going out the door, shots in arms, versus what we have now, and getting in like a forecasted week by which we would get to 65%. And I know that requires forecasting, and you're seeing a decrease, but you're also doing this in terms of your access.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think, a hard number to project out. Although I will say, yes, we are definitely having we're having email exchanges, right? Haven't been able to have a conversation about it yet, so late in breaking. But definitely, I think it's possible to get some rough numbers, and know that there's just so many variables that anything that we would share in that sort of realm would be subject to a lot of caveats. And a lot of those caveats are the decisions made by the folks in Yamhill County and the people who choose to get vaccinated. And so, we'll continue to do everything that we can to provide accurate information about vaccine, as well as to do everything we can to make sure it's as easy as possible to find, to get, and specifically around, populations that may have a harder time accessing it as well. But yeah, we'll definitely be working on that.
Okay, that sounds good. And Mayor Rogers, welcome Mayor Rogers from the city of Newburgh has a question too.
Greetings, Director Manfred. Thank you, first off, for all of your work. Thank you for all that you're doing. And I did hear great things about both the library, and we're looking forward to the farmers market as well. So that's great. Just a question, and you touched on this, that lo and behold, the public doesn't always believe elected officials. I don't know why, but it's shocking. So in fact, I'll share with you, I got blasted in an email. This is a couple of weeks ago, because after the governor came out and said, 15 counties are going to go into extreme. And so I got on the video and said, hey, listen, folks, get your vaccines. We don't want, restrictions to go backwards. Well, they took it as a threat. And a guy sent me like a 2-line email that used, dropped an F-bomb, spoke about my mother, called me bro, and ended with love in Christ. So I don't know. But anyway, my point being that you mentioned medical professionals. Has that been rolled out where trusted, medical professionals from Providence or wherever say, hey, here's some of the concerns? Because it might be useful and maybe I just haven't seen it. So thank you.
Yeah, you bet. And are you thinking sort of just the concerns of the community? Are we getting information about what specifically those might be?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking, and I think this actually came after a governor's call, is to say, doctors in town, if they came in and tried to dispel some of the concerns, people might trust that a lot more than hearing it from me, certainly. So that's where, I was just wondering if that's something that's in process at all, or if it's even being thought of.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're doing a number of things, as are many people in the community who are working towards getting more folks vaccinated. Working with healthcare providers is one of them, and assuring that they've got the most up-to-date information and are feeling confident and comfortable with those conversations is part of the work. I think the other things that we've been doing and people we've been working with are other trusted community members. We have a number of faith-based organization leaders who have been really big champions of vaccination and have been key in working with the people that trust them and working with them. And then our organizations like Unidos, and I mentioned YCAP, who are such huge touch points, Virginia Garcia, another one, to our community and to specific populations, and making sure that they have information as well. And they've also been the feeders of information, right? They're the ones out in the community, and they're hearing about these are what we're hearing. These are the questions. These are the concerns. And so we've been able to talk through those, get them the information so that they can take back out and share. And so it's really been sort of a back and forth relationship where they're sharing with us the concerns that they're hearing, and then we're able to get information out for them, and that they're able to use in a sort of culturally appropriate way to get to those populations.
Okay, thank you. Follow on, Casey. And so if there's something that we can do, right, to help get, that information out, I mean, we push it out through all city channels, but if there's things that you feel that the electeds particularly can do, please let us know however we can help. Thank you.
Looked like Jody had a comment.
Yeah, I would just add to Mayor, and for the rest of the group, is that OHA has micro targeted PSAs and advertising both in print and social media, on the radio. And they might not be generally seen by the public, but these are targeted to specific groups in a culturally appropriate way to try to dispel some of those rumors or concerns. So, but I agree with Director Manfred. It is, we're now at the point where it's the trusted person that will be able to dispel any concerns, or at least give the right information so a person can make the choice. I mean, I think that's where we're at right now, and so that's something to be. It's important that we keep driving people to a medical or a trusted advisor.
Perfect. Thank you, Jody. It looks like Howie has a comment or question.
This is for Jody or Director Manfred. Do we have any idea the percentage of people that haven't been vaccinated that aren't considering getting vaccinated in Yamhill County?
We don't have that information at a local level, but there is some state information around that based on, I believe, some survey data. And Jody, you may have that. I saw it on Friday, and can certainly try to get a copy of it. for folks.
Yeah, that it sounds familiar, but I defer to you.
I know that Director Allen, during the of OHA during the press conference, did note that there's a lot of different perspectives on the vaccine and getting it, and for some people, it's just a matter of if it shows up at their library when they're returning a book, and then for some people it's like never, no, and then there's plenty of people in between on that spectrum. I know that for family members of mine, it was a matter of it was easily available, and so they were able to get it, whereas they weren't planning on getting it. But because it was easily available, they were like, oh, okay. And we have college-age kids who are going to go to college, and they may as well get their vaccine now rather than be required to do it in the fall. So that's encouraging to me. It's approaching 3:30. I want to make sure that we get these two out of here on time. Are there other questions or comments? I just want to note that we do have a corner store in Unionville between Dayton and Salem that would be a perfect place for a pop-up.
Noted.
Thank you for that. One thing I did want to ask is I get to see on a daily basis kind of the number of new cases in different age groups, but I don't know how that's related to how many people in our community are in those age groups. Does that make sense? And I wondered, Director Manfred, do you have you seen a shift to younger demographics of the people who are getting coronavirus in our community, or is it just that's how it's related in terms of the number of people in our community?
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a shift in that. I would say the demographic is really more of the 30 and under at this point is the largest proportion of cases that we're seeing.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if we had a really young community, and that's why we were seeing the numbers. So.
Yeah, we have quite a mix in terms of Yamhill County as far as in addition, we do have a lot of families and young people. We have 2 universities, we've got community colleges, so we do have a lot of that crowd, and we also have a pretty large per capita number of long-term care facilities, assisted living facilities, and memory care units. So we're quite a mix.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Are there any last comments or questions for Jody Christensen and Director Manfred? All right, well, it's really wonderful to have both of you here to kind of help explain some of the news and what we have either to look forward to or the challenge ahead. So thank you, both of you, so much for your work. Thank you for your creativity and your willingness to just keep working on this.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thank you for joining us today, too. I did want to note that we have Celia Nunez here, who hasn't been with us in quite a while, and so I want to go to her next for updates to share with the community. And it's great to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Commissioner Kula. It's good to see everyone. It's been a long time, and I so apologize, but at the same time, lots to share. First and foremost, I'll share with you, I don't know if it's good or bad, but Chemeketa has appointed me as Chemeketa's Center for Business and Industry Executive Director. The good and the bad, so all of you know, is I'm dual, working 2 jobs for one. I was appointed also to continue in my role as SBDC Director. So as you can imagine, I've been juggling kind of like both of these worlds. So for those of you who may not be familiar with Chemeketa's Center for Business and Industry, we have 2 major departments. We, on the customized training side, work in regards to providing customized training to businesses for workforce development. For those employers who want to train their employees to upskill them, to give them, basic fundamentals, or also to get them to earn maybe a badge or a non-credit credential. So working really hard in that regard, have several fabulous programs. I'm very proud right now. We've got a very strong DEQ septic online program, and we also have the ODOT Flagger program. So for those folks out there that are interested in getting, employment in those regards, we have the training. We also have, we've been appointed to also offer the real estate courses. For there's a lot of folks who want to be able to start their own real estate business. So we offer those classes as well. On the SBDC side, really exciting news. I'm actually, as of this morning, the college approved. So they are providing me an opportunity to hire an associate director for the SBDC. With that said, it's going to allow us to, just even be more broad. I'm on the call basically to let you know, Commissioner, is like once we have the associate director on board is I want to be able to offer myself to attend the right meetings that you need me at and support. I'm also establishing both the CCBI advisory group and the SBDC advisory group. And so I really want a presence on both of them for Yamhill County. So if you could all put your thinking caps on, I'll put in the chat my email, but put your thinking caps on of, and by the way, I'm a Yamhill resident, so very happy to be here. Always, paying attention to what's going on with us. But I'd really like to have a strong presence of Yamhill and want to make sure, sometimes we have those hidden golden people that, would be great. And we just, sometimes they just need a little bit of a lift of like, hey, have you thought about this person or that? Let's see what else. For those of you who may not be aware, we are offering right now all of our classes at no cost. I still have a lot of CARES Act funding. So for folks who are in that area who want to learn about running their business, starting their business, our advisors are available to business clients at no cost. We receive funding from the SBA and the Oregon Business Development Department, and so that helps. We're also, all of our classes and advising is available remote or online. It's rare. Some people do want to meet in person now, and I usually take those appointments just not to have too many people out there and about. Our CCBI building, downtown Salem, will be open effective July 1st. So we're just starting little by little to just kind of, what does that look like? And, all that good stuff. Of course, it's limited capacity and all, but, and there's so much more to share, but I can do it at other meetings as well. But it's good to be here. And thank you for letting me, just kind of share what I could off the cuff. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Celia, and congratulations. Thank you for getting us all this good information.
Yes.
So CCBI is the Center for...
It's the Chemeketa Center for Business and Industry.
And then SBDC
is the Small Business Development Center, and our host is Chemeketa, so we belong to Chemeketa.
Right. I just wanted to make sure that people got all that.
Yeah. The other, it would behoove me to share all of our classes and advising we offer in English and Spanish. So we're trying to do our part. Translated to English yet. I have no idea what that was in my office, but we're trying to do our best to offer in multi-languages. That was weird.
That was pretty great. Okay, well, thank you. That's all very good stuff to learn.
Thank you.
Are there questions for Celia? Howie?
Yes, Celia, the training that you're offering, does it also include the soft skills training? Because a lot of people can get a job, but holding the job after they get in that unique position isn't always easy.
That's a really interesting question, Howie. It's actually something we're working on in the customized training department for the exact reason. Lots of conversations right now we're having with I should send you, Commissioner Kula, an article about an analysis that's being done about a shortage of workers. What we're learning is it's not necessarily because of the pay. You know how we've got a lot of people who are like, well, people aren't getting paid enough, they make more in unemployment. That's not necessarily true. So I think when you read the article, you'll know there are a lot of issues and concerns that employees in America are having. For example, retail employees don't necessarily want to be in their jobs anymore because they feel like the pay that they're being provided isn't sufficient for the risk of rampant shooters that come into stores. So that was a really interesting assessment. I mean, that's just one of many that are in the article. So going back, Howie, to your question is what we've identified is exactly what you've described. People can get hired, but the things that we take for granted, like when they say they need you to be at the job and start at 8, that doesn't mean you show up at 8 and you take a half hour to go get your coffee and hang up your coat and look at the last few emails or text messages you received. Oh, and then, start your computer up. Or how to answer the phone, or how to take a message, or how not to use chosen language that could, offend others. So things like that. But yes, so we are paying attention to that, and that is something that we're addressing right now as well.
I can tell you that will be extremely helpful in McMinnville.
Okay, good to know. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Howie. And Celia, that would be great to get that the article that you mentioned. I've seen lots of different ones, and actually on previous roundtables, we've discussed a lot of the different motivators and drivers, both on the employer side and on the employee side lately, and the mismatch. So it would be great to have that.
Yeah, and my last comment, and then I'll stop talking, is for you to know, now that we live in Yamhill County and have for about the last year, is if there's any type of committee or any type of work that you think I could be helpful in, keep me in mind. I don't necessarily, have to be on a committee, but if you need some support or something, I'm available.
Sounds good. I bet Howie's going to reach out to you. Are there other questions for Celia? Awesome. Thank you so much. I mean, Mayor Rogers, he's in PCC area, but he's willing to work with anybody.
If I may ask, Commissioner Rogers, so who's at the PCC campus in Newburgh?
It is, Lynn Montoya Quinn is the head of PCC Newburgh. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, I'm about literally like 10 minutes away from it.
Oh, is that right? You live in Newburgh then? Right on. That's it. All right. If I can connect you in any way with anything, just let me know as well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, awesome. Commissioner.
Thank you so much. I'm going to keep going with the non-elected officials and go to Takesha Wydrow. We can mix it up a little bit. Sometimes Takesha, I force her to wait and then we lose her. So thank you for joining us once again. And what would you like to share with people?
I want to mention a few things. So we had a successful cleanup, and we also, I was really excited. I wasn't able to attend our first in a while Saturday Farmers Market, but we had one in it's supposed to be the first Saturday of the month. And so we had one in May at the West Valley Mercantile, and that was very successful. And the plan is to continue with those, although the one that is scheduled for June is actually going to be on the 19th, which is the day of Hometown Days, which is like the next version of Sharon Days. So that's on the June 19th. So there's a committee that's been working really hard on that. And then just the Saturday market will be happening on that day. So that's very exciting. Also, I'm sure you mentioned in some of the previous ones, so we had Mayor Cooley who had stepped down because he moved outside the city limits, and now we have Mayor Aaron Bear, who is now in his place. And last I heard, the search for the city manager is going very well. And yeah, I just checked to make sure I didn't. Oh, something I know that there's quite a few people that are excited about is that there's new ownership for TJ's and the gas station in Sheridan. Vic, who owns the Center Market, purchased it, and we had a shared revitalization group, and Chamber had a great meeting with him, and he's very interested in working with the city and revitalization chamber groups and really the community in doing a remodel and getting feedback from the community. But the idea is both the gas station and TJ's will get a full remodel. Some great ideas for that mural there and all kinds of stuff. So we're super excited with his commitment to the town. And I've also seen work done on the restaurant, the building that's going to be the restaurant. The roof seems to be being worked on. I'm waiting on an update on that. And if anyone is wondering, they are still working on or planning on working on the cleanup from the building that fell into the water. So that I think they're just waiting on the ground to be drier to be able to finish that. And I think that's it. Let me just make sure I didn't forget anything. Oh, I just also wanted to mention the elections on the 18th. Everyone should be making sure that they get that in the drop box. I think it might be a little too late to mail it right now, so they should put it in the drop box. And Sheridan has some ones on there. Yamhill County does. So just wanted to mention that. I think that's it. One more thing. Sheridan School District is providing meals during the summer for the children of Sheridan, and it's going to be the city park. I think they've used that location before, and that's from June 28th to August 5th. From any ages from 1 to 18, Monday through Thursday, 12:15 to 12:45. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to be speaking with the superintendent about the career and technical education vision. But do you know anything about it that you could share with the group?
I don't know anything about that.
I will learn in 25 minutes. And will there be an appointment process for Aaron's or Mayor Bear's replacement as counselor?
I have heard that there will be some that they're taking in nominations for that. I believe. Okay. I missed the last meeting, so I didn't get the latest update. But yeah.
Okay, sounds good. And thank you for the reminder. And yes, I believe that the clerk does say that we are too late to mail your ballot in order to ensure that it gets there on time. So there's lots of drop boxes available, and they're all, if you don't know where they are in your community, there's a list on the clerk's website. But there's a lot of them around these days. All right, great. Thank you very much, Takesha. And Heather Miller, if you are available now, I'm going to keep going with non-electeds around here, although you're kind of elected. And nice to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. So I'm here on behalf of the Downtown Association in McMinnville, and we had our first farmers market this past week. Was a big success. We actually had our largest market ever, and with the generous space that First Baptist Church is allowing us, we're able to keep that socially distanced, and people are feeling really good about that. I think Lindsay mentioned that we'll be having vaccines available at starting this week at the farmers market, which is awesome. We also have the Double Up Food Bucks program. So this past week, we were able to match $700 for folks. So when they come and swipe their food stamps, we're able to give them an additional $10 to spend at the market. So the more we use each year, the more we're able to facilitate, the more we get allocated in the next year. So it's really our focus this year. We have an intern starting tomorrow to help spread that word and get people coming down to the market to take advantage of those extra dollars. As far as the rest of our activities, we'll be starting our Dine Outside program Memorial Day weekend. So we'll be expanding into 3rd Street for restaurants, food and beverage establishments. we did get a grant from Travel Oregon with the help of Visit McMinnville that's going to provide quite a bit of infrastructure, lighting, signage, things of that nature. So that will be a huge help to kind of enhance that event. And that will run through September this year. And the months of July and August, we will actually be including Thursday night as well. So the street will close down on Thursday afternoon all the way through Sunday. So it'll be a really good opportunity for our food and beverage restaurants to capitalize on some summer tourism. Other than that, we're seeing a little bit better, I think, just generally of people finding some folks to fill spots and get back up and running prior to the summer. I think I mentioned last time I was here that staffing was a big issue and people were kind of having a decent amount of turnover, and I think we're starting to turn that corner. So there's still lots of places downtown looking for help as well. So I think that's all I have on behalf of the MDA. If you have any, if anyone has any groups or ways, we have a kind of a little digital flyer for the Double Up food bucks that we can distribute. So if anybody would like that PDF file that they could share to get the word out for those dollars, we are happy to get that to you. So I think that's it.
Nice, thank you, Heather. And I feel like Heather, you and Celia should meet, because at least it would be helpful to have business owners downtown who are like, I'm struggling to find employees, connect, and I don't know. It seems like a good connection.
I caught the tail end of hers. I'm trying to multitask this afternoon, so I'm in and out. But I will reach out to her and see if we can at least put our brains together and figure out a way to work together. So thanks so much.
That would be great. I'm here, Heather, and look forward to hearing from you.
Sounds good.
And Celia's email is in the chat.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Casey.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I must say that it is so much fun to be downtown and be walking in the middle of the road.
I know.
There's something so transgressive, I guess, about that. I don't know if that's the right word, but it seems like it. So thank you for joining us. All right, I'm going to go to Mayor Rogers now for an update from the city of Newburgh and you as well. Thank you for joining us.
All righty. Well, thank you. I'd like to underscore again, as Takesha said, the election May 18th. We've got a ton of candidates in Newburgh, both for school board and for Parks and Rec board. So, please get your ballots in, folks. Let's see what else. Talking about workers and the need for workers, we're on a call recently with some folks from the Allison. And first, the good news, they're starting to open up on weekends. They were closed for a while. They had a minor outbreak. They're open up on weekends now. And from what I hear, they're booked through June and July through the weekends. They're going 75 rooms will be open on the weekends. And I think they're opening 25 during the week. And again, it would be more if they had more staff that could do things like clean the rooms, et cetera. So, that continues to be a bit of a challenge, I think, for the folks at the Allison and for others here in town. Another subject entirely, if you are interested in seeing things blow up or fall to the ground, please check out videos of what's been going on at the mill site. We didn't know in advance, and I know a few people in Newburgh were startled last week with a large boom that ended up being dynamite that took down one of the taller structures at the mill. So you can check that out. Let's see, the budget, so the committee did go through, we went 4 sessions, I think, and the committee and council have the budget. It'll go to city council on the 7th of June. And hopefully it should be smooth sailing from there. Fortunately, we're in pretty good condition, pretty good shape, but did not talk at all about the ARP money that we will save for once we wade through the couple hundred pages of directions on what and what not to do. So otherwise, we've also got a couple of committee positions currently open, both some for adults and then a handful for students as well. So we've gone to the notion of all city committees now will have a student representative as well. So we're excited about that, and we'll like to hopefully get students from the university, from PCC, and the high schools here in town. So other than that, we continue to meet every other week with community partners on the question of COVID and what's going on, and that often includes the university and the school district and major employers and that. So otherwise, all is well in Newburgh, and we'll just continue on. And if you haven't gotten a vaccination, tomorrow at the farmers market, come on by. As Director Manfred mentioned, there will be shots available. So come on by the farmers market tomorrow afternoon into the evening. So thank you, and thank you, Casey.
Nice, thank you, Mayor. Super exciting shots at the farmers market. Okay, wonderful to hear from you, Mayor Linda Watkins. What would you like to share with people today?
Yeah, I was just making a list. I was just getting a little more from my city manager there. Let's see, farmers markets reminded me Carlton is has been starting a farmers market for the last couple of years, and they're up and running on Saturdays. They're kind of squeezed in behind Cuvée restaurant and next to the Lad Park, our upper park in the city. It's a small farmers market. Most of the money goes, I think, to support the daycare that the folks that run the farmers market run. So we're always happy to see that happening. Budget hearings are tonight, so we'll see how that goes along. So far, everything looked pretty good, but you never know until you get there. We actually are having a small Carlton Fun Day this year. We went ahead and supported that. Yeah, we're kind of, it'll be the first one, the first real event I think that we've had in the town since COVID hit. And they're doing a very scaled down. It's not going to be the parade and all of the booths and everything. It's just going to be a kind of a small fun run and some booths and some activity in the upper park. But it's just nice to see some attempt at normalcy coming back up here. And I don't know, we've got lifeguards lined up. Now all we got to do is get people to get their vaccinations and get ourselves into a position where we can actually open the pool. So we'll see how that goes. And I think that's really about the most exciting stuff that's going on right now. So just judging from the way the streets looked last Sunday, I think people are back out and shopping. I had to run downtown and there was no parking anywhere not that we have a lot of parking to begin with, but downtown was packed. It was, all the restaurants were busy. It was really good to see. It was really nice. And thank you again for yesterday's meeting. That was lovely. It was a lot of good information. And I think Shannon's already followed up with you on some stuff to send you on that. So
yes,
we've got our fingers crossed for everybody on that one.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for joining us. And the swimmers on the call here today are very excited for you. So
we are too.
Parents of swimmers, as the case may be.
Yeah.
Great.
Also, Casey and Howie, I just forwarded to you guys a link to an article about small home city that was some folks without homes in Oakland got tired of living on the streets in Oakland, California, and they went under the overpass and they built a little small house community down there. So it was in today's Guardian, and a friend of mine just sent it over to me, so I forwarded it to both of you guys. So
perfect, thank you. And Mayor Rogers has a really nice overpass. So
ooh, you do. What are the little narrow homes along the bypass?
Yeah, that's a development called I think it's called River Run, and those little narrow houses are selling at 400 plus, I think. So yeah, and
affordable housing, huh?
Yeah, right. Yeah, affordable.
They are the closest houses to the river.
That is true. That's a good point. Do you sell real estate in your part time, Stacey?
Yes.
I can feel the water.
Yes. It's that swimmer background of yours. River Run, and I think that's 130 units or something like that is when it's built out. So yeah, pretty amazing. And yeah, so
they look fairly. They don't look like they're that big of houses.
Yeah, I don't know. I walked through one when, well, at least one of the ones that was being built, and I think they're probably 12 to 1,500 square feet each, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, they sort of go, like you say, they go straight up. So yeah.
And no yard.
Nope, but again,
People don't care.
jokingly, that may be about the closest we have in Newburgh to something quote unquote affordable at 400 plus, which is.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And remember, there's a park right across the street too.
True. That's true.
Right? Because isn't that Ewing Young?
Ewing Young, the backside of Ewing Young. So
yeah.
Yep. And Chemeketa and the creek, Salem Creek is right there too as well. And actually,
park,
we hope is going to be the launching part for the trail from that side to Dundee. That right there, we hope. So that's the hope. Yep.
Okay.
Always amazing opportunities in a skinny house.
Yes. See, there you go.
It's amazing. Yes, it is amazing. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for the update, and thank you for joining us yesterday.
Oh, thank you. That was great.
And I haven't forgotten about you, Howie. I just want to make sure that Council President Drapkin gets an update for us.
Thanks so much. I'll be quick, mostly because I've got to jump off right at 3:00 today. This happened last week while we were in this call, but I was so overwhelmed by House Bill 2006 that I forgot to mention that McMinnville had its UGB approved and not contested. So that process is complete. Also, I hope I didn't hear this in here and then I'm regurgitating it, but OSHA released new guidelines for businesses today that should be in effect. They're regarding COVID safety. Those should be in effect from now until the end of COVID, whatever that means. And then I did have two questions that I should have asked when Jody was on the line, but regarding any potential changes to youth programming before that 70% opens up and outdoor event numbers. And then that's my natural segue to say that Wine Country Pride will be happening throughout Yamhill County. There will be a Rainbow Quest, which is similar to the Meltdown, that'll be happening throughout the month of June. And then the last weekend in June, there will be a series of celebrations in McMinnville, Dayton, Newburgh. And additionally, Pollinate Flowers is supplying free pride flags to any businesses that would like them. And you can learn more about that on the website winecountrypride.com. If you'd like to request a flag or have other questions, you can email winecountrypride@gmail.com. Rick, I see you writing. We'll just get you one.
It's in the mail.
It's in the mail. It'll be there. I think those are my updates.
Awesome. Thank you, Counselor. And I just, before we logged on, I saw that the estimate statewide to get us to 70%, which would prompt, as Jody said, a majority of restrictions being lifted, is between 2 and 6 weeks from now at the rate. And partly that's because these low rate counties are also among the smallest counties. And Washington, Clackamas, and Multnomah, and Marion are all, and Lane County and Benton are all going real fast. So positive note, especially I'm just thinking about the youth. You were talking about youth sports and restrictions, or youth activities and restrictions.
Yeah, so just watch the general state. There's nothing, yeah, okay. I just didn't know if anything had changed that I could have missed here.
I haven't heard anything, so. Yes. Okay, great. Are there questions for Councilor Drapkin? Awesome. Thank you so much. Howie Harkema, what would you like to share with people?
Well, first of all, I want one of those flags, Remy. Number two, Takesha, could you ask Mayor Bear if he'd like to join us on Thursday, the 3rd of June at 1 o'clock for our mayor's Zoom on homelessness? Had a great one last week. I'm sorry you couldn't make it, Rick. Hopefully you'll be able to make it in June.
You said 1 o'clock on Thursday, the 3rd of June?
Yes.
Yeah.
and I'll send a link.
Okay, great.
With Champion Team closing, we're doing everything from Encompass Yamhill Valley remotely and mobilely. We're working with a number of different partners to make sure that everybody is getting fed, that there's clothing available to people, that stimulus packages, tax documents, unemployment, court dates, all of those things are still happening in the background. So we're still looking for an administrative office, and we're certainly looking for a place for our drop-in center to be that will not cause the complaint ratios that Champion Team was dealing with. We've met with Heather Richards from Planning Department, Matt Scales from McMinnville Police Department, and Tim Svensson to make sure that when we open as Encompass, that we don't make the same mistakes, and we can work more collaboratively with those that have to do the intakes and such for complaints. So we're working really hard to make sure that we do all the right steps so that it doesn't become a chaotic situation in McMinnville. So that's what I have, Casey.
Great, thank you very much. Are there questions for Hallie? Well, thank you, Hallie, for all of your work and all of your concern about very vulnerable people. Very much appreciate it.
Be there.
Are there any last thoughts? Well, good. I just want to remind people that take advantage of the opportunity to get a COVID vaccine or a coronavirus vaccine if you can. Talk to your friends and neighbors about it. As Director Manfred said, we are starting to see in our own community a downtick, and likewise at the state level, the governor noted that the fourth wave or the fourth surge is definitely going down at this point. So we can get back to normal, which is almost hard to imagine right now. But I'm so excited for all of us and for our community members. So be safe out there. Thank you for all of your work. And remember, out in the community, everybody here works for you, and we can help you with something if you reach out to us. And stay safe.